The 2025-26 women's basketball season for college women's basketball has come and gone, and we are here entering the tournament this week for all the different conferences. All the conference tournaments are going on this week, and then we'll be hitting the actual NCAA tournament a couple of weeks. And one of the teams this year that obviously is not expected to go pretty much anywhere is USC. That is Southern Cal. And we're going to talk about that right now, right here on this edition of Her Game, Her Way Women's Basketball, powered by Come On Now, the podcast. Hit the like button, subscribe, leave your comments, let me know y'all thoughts on this topic. So, USC this year is currently sitting at 17-12, I believe it is. They just came off of a pretty bad loss yesterday to UCLA. They are, quite frankly, an afterthought this season with what they've got. 17 and 12, ninth in the Big Ten, and yet somehow, they are projected to make the NCAA tournament. Last I checked, I don't even see how that's possible. They are currently a projected 8 seed. I find that to be completely asinine. I don't know how a team that's 17-12 can be a projected 8 seed when they're ninth in their own conference. The Big Ten's a good conference, but I can when you're 17-12 and you're probably going to end up at 17-13 as you're playing Washington in the first round or their first game of the Big Ten tournament. I don't see how they are a tournament team without winning a couple of games. But again, I don't do bracketology for women's basketball. 17-12 is 17-12. You do not belong in your conference tournament at 17-12. It's just that simple. And it's funny that they're going to play Washington because Washington has a former USC player on its team. Avery Howell was a freshman last year at USC. She transferred to Washington, and she's averaging almost 34 minutes a game, 13.4 points. She leads the team in rebounding with 8.4 rebounds as a guard, 1.4 assists. She's shooting 49% from the field, 42% from three, having a heck of a season in Washington for the Huskies. Clearly has made an impact. She's one of only two double-digit scorers on this roster. She's second on the team in scoring. And so you lost her. You also lost Kaylee Heckel, who transferred over to UConn. And you obviously you see what UConn is. UConn is currently sitting at 31-0. They're number one in the country. Kelly Heckel's coming off the bench at UConn. She's averaging 6.9 points per game on 19 minutes a game. 55.6% field goal shooting, 38% from three. Very efficient from the field when she's out there. And she's part of a rotation of players that, one of 8 players that are averaging at least 6.9 points per game on that UConn squad. 2 players that should otherwise be at USC this year, if not for a number of things that went on last year and how the team was run by Coach Lindsey Gottlieb and the comments that have come out about, things that I've heard and so forth about things within that program. Let it be known that the problems were never Juju Watkins focused. They were coaching focused. Now, could that be attributed to how Juju Watkins was used last year and the fact that she got run into the ground to the point of blowing her knee out in the Sweet 16? That's a conversation for another day. But I mean, I stood firm on what I believe is that she got run into the ground, chasing records, and rather than chasing wins, playing 38 minutes in a 40 point blowout. I mean, this is a team this year has lost to South. They got beat by 17 by South Carolina. They lost to Notre Dame. They got smoked by UConn by 28. They've lost to UCLA now twice by 34 and by 23. They got drop kicked yesterday by 23 by UCLA at home, no less. They lost to Penn State. I mean, Penn State is 4-14 in the Big Ten, and you would put this team in the NCAA tournament. Penn State's 11-18. That's an atrocious loss. Lost at Ohio State, lost to Michigan, lost to Michigan State, lost to Maryland, lost to Minnesota, lost to Oregon. They have no. Their one significant win in the Big Ten was a win against Iowa by 12. That was a good win. That was when they ran off 6 straight wins. But since then, they've lost 3 straight games. Here's reality, and there are people and they do have a win over Washington, by the way. They did beat Washington early this season, but this is not the same team that played Washington way back in December 7th. Like, this is not the same group. And actually, that was Washington's first loss actually at the time. However, we are in a different point of the season. Teams get better, teams get worse, and right now, they are on a 3-game losing streak, and they are facing a demise right now. Juju Watkins has missed this entire season. And of course, it's wild to me how quickly ESPN and all the different major networks have just completely forgotten about her existence. Because she's injured, they have just forgotten that she's alive. They don't talk about her. They don't mention her. They don't say anything about her. They don't even check on her. They don't even give injury updates. She said earlier this year that she'd be out for the season. We all knew that she would. It was just that was a given. But at the same time, you're sitting here and you're now heading into the tournament. And look, the loss of Juju Watkins has hurt women's college basketball. I'm not going to sit here and deny it. It's hurt women's college basketball. She is someone that draws eyes. She is someone that has a huge fan base. But is her being out the reason that USC is so, I'm going to be real, so damn bad? They're bad. They are a bad team this year. They have a couple of wins. Everyone wins games. Like, if you look at some of their wins, they have a win over NC State. Good win. That was game 2. They have a win over Washington early on. Good win. Win over Nebraska. I mean, that was a good win at the time, but Nebraska's 18-11, so they're not much better. And they're 7-11 in conference, so they're worse in the Big Ten than USC is. The win over Iowa is their mantelpiece win. There's no question about it, because Iowa is rolling 15-3 in conference, 24-5 overall. But they are in a problem, and this is a team that has the number 1 recruit in the country in Jazzy Davidson. People will rave about Jazzy Davidson. Jazzy Davidson is completely inefficient as a basketball player. She shoots 40% from the field. She shoots under 30 from 3. She's their best player, and yet realistically, that's not a good thing. She's averaging 17-9, 5.9 boards. She leads them in rebounding at 5.9 boards. She's twig thin, so the fact they don't have a real person, a big that leads them in boards is wild. And she averages 4.3 assists. She literally leads them in every category: points, rebounds, assists, steals, and blocks. I mean, the girl is doing the best she can, obviously, but they're talent deficient. Kara Dunn's averaging 15.6. She's a transfer out of Georgia Tech. And she's one out of Tech. She's a guard. And then you got London Jones, who's averaging 10.2 points. She transferred out of UCLA, got her ass kicked yesterday. And they brought back Kennedy Smith, who's averaging 11.5. I'm going to be real. I think Kennedy Smith, will Kennedy Smith stick around next year? I don't know. She's having a pretty decent year. A decent year. She's She's a shot chucker and bricklayer from three. She shoots under 25% from three. She's shooting 41% from the field. I mean, you look at this team, they have a team of people that shoot poorly. Davidson is 40.5%. Kennedy Smith, 41%. London Jones, 38.6%. Malia Samuels, 31.1%. By the way, Malia Samuels is their fifth leading scorer on this team. Fifth. She's averaging 3.5 points a game. Tell you what, when I heard last year that she was probably transferring, she probably should have transferred. But she changed her mind, stayed, and she's averaging 3.5 points a game in her junior year. I would bet you money she's gone this year. I would bet money on it that she was probably out the door this year. But they got a whole slew of players that from 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 that are all averaging under 3.5 points per game. They don't have any, they have no bench depth. They barely have a fifth starter on this team. I mean, this is what we are. They barely have a fifth starter on this team. Now, the question comes up, of course, would Juju Watkins have made a difference on this team? Would this team be a contender with Juju Watkins? I'm going to answer the question for you right now. The answer is no. Because everything else remains the same. They would have a fifth starter if Juju Watkins was on the team. They'd have a fifth starter and still they'd have no size. They'd have no quality big. They'd have no one that can do anything in the post. And they would largely be getting dumped, smacked up and down by teams with size. Because Jazzy Davidson, while she might be 6'1", she's 6'1", and she's their leading rebounder. Cara Dunn's 5'11". Kennedy Smith is 6'1". London Jones is 5'4". 5'4". Malia Samuels is like 5'6". Yeah, she's 5'6". This is a size deficient squad. Diana Mendez is 6'3" out of Paris. She's averaging 3 points per game. Vivian Iwachukwu is 6'3", averaging under 3 points per game. Laura Williams is 6'1", a freshman, averaging 2.8 points per game. Yakia Milton has played 15 games, averaging 2.4 points per game. She's 6'5", but clearly doesn't mean much. And yeah, they're just not any good, man. They have nothing beyond their first four players. Now, you lost Kaylee Heckle, you lost Avery Howe. But remember who else they lost. They didn't just lose those two. They didn't just lose Juju Watkins. They lost a lot more than that. And that's why when people are so, Jazzy Davidson's going to kill it. Man, she has no choice but to do as much as she can. They lost Ryan Marshall in the draft, who's a big. They lost Kiki Irfin, who obviously is an excellent basketball player. And then, of course, they also, lost Juju Watkins. Would Juju Watkins have made this team a 25-win team? No. Like, would you turn 17-12 into 8 wins? So if you made 8 more wins, that's 25. Would you make them a 25-4 team with Juju Watkins and that's it? That's all you've added? No. No, you wouldn't, because they lost so much more than just her. She'd make you watch. You'd probably turn on the game more often. But when you lose the kind of depth they lost and players that are making contributions to other teams this season, who would have probably been starters on this team, like, you got to know that for someone like Kaylee Heckle to go to UConn and be a backup when she's literally playing the exact same role she played last year at USC, for her to do that tells you there's problems within that program. Because she's probably starting this year if she doesn't transfer to UConn. She's probably putting up better numbers than she's putting up at UConn because she's getting more minutes. But there's something to be said when someone picks their ball up and says, I'm out of here. Same thing with Howell. She's probably a starter this year. These are all realities. Kiki Irfin averaged 18 and 8 last year at USC. That is significant contribution. That's not just someone who's there. And that is contribution that they have not replaced. They have just not replaced it because it's irreplaceable. You lost Ryan Marshall, who averaged last year 8 points and 8.5 rebounds to the career 10.4, 9.5. So you lost 30 almost 30 points in production, 25, 30 points in production and 16, 17 rebounds a game from your front line. And you don't have that this year. So I do think Juju Watkins makes them a 20, 21 win team? Yeah, I do. Do I think she makes them a contender for anything this year? Nope. Because they just don't have enough talent. And while they would be watched more and people would probably be paying attention to them more, it also goes to show you that even with the fact that they were shoving her down our throats last year. They shoved her and Paige down our throats. They stopped doing it. Like, when Caitlin Clark is playing golf, and I hate bringing her into the conversation. When she's doing this. I haven't even seen podcasts put up stuff on Juju Watkins to even give updates about her health, let alone ESPN do it or Fox Sports do it. Like, I watched the game yesterday against UCLA. They barely mentioned Juju Watkins. I don't even remember if they did mention it. I watched the game. I watched the full game. They got dog walked. They got absolutely dog walked. They got excited when they got the game down to 9, and you blink your eye, it was back to 18. The game was a whooping. And now they got beat by 34 a couple months ago. This is not this. I think Juju Watkins should turn pro, personally. That's just my opinion. I don't think she should come back to USC. It's just my opinion. But she'll be taking a large pay cut, obviously, to come back to go pro, even with the new collective bargaining that they're doing. But yeah, I don't know. Y'all let me know y'all thoughts in the comments. What are your thoughts of the lack of Juju Watkins? The fact that no one talks about her is actually kind of weird to me. There's no conversation about her. It just shows you that all this stuff last year was like contrived, bogus crap that wasn't real. It wasn't organic. Because even during the WNBA season, and again, I hate doing it, but I'm going to do it. Even during the WNBA season, every single time Indiana played, the conversation was still Caitlin Clark. People were still wondering every day, when is Caitlin Clark coming back? There was always a Caitlin Clark report. There's no reports on Juju Watkins. There's nothing on Juju Watkins. Like I type up her name and I get her ESPN page. I should find some link that talks about Juju Watkins. I don't find it. So, it is what it is. It is what it is. Y'all let me know y'all thoughts in the comments. Hit the like button. Subscribe. Appreciate y'all as always. This is Her Game, Her Way Women's Basketball, powered by Come On Now, the podcast. Come on now.